So our first, as Andrew said, we're going to hear from the 3 regions involved in the LEADER project. Our first region, and we'll pass over to Anna Rauha, who is from the Seinajoki University of Applied Sciences, which is in South Australia, in Western Finland, and she's going to just present her group project. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Andrew and Carlene. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Seinajoki. As Carlene said, Seinajoki is the capital of South Ostrobothnia region here in Western Finland. My name is Anna Rauha, and I work at Seinäjoki University of Applied Sciences, or SIAMK, as we call it. Sure. I only started in this project this week, so I'm the new project manager of the Finnish Wellbeing from Nature project. My predecessor, Tanja Hautala, and the Finnish project team have produced a short video in which they open up the aims of our project. So I'm now asking Rachel, could you please start the video for us?
Hello, my name is Tanja Hautala, and at the moment we are in the Seinäjoki city, almost at the center of the city. I am project manager in the Wellbeing from Nature project in Seinäjoki University of Applied Sciences in South Ostrobothnia, Finland. The main theme of the project is knowledge exchange in the area of green care and nature-induced well-being. The project also aims at finding new ways to utilize forests and other nature areas for supporting well-being, and also in the area of international and national tourism. In addition, the project aims at demonstrating health impact measurement tools for well-being actions. The project is funded by leader groups Liveri ry, Kuudestaan ry and Leader Suupohja here in South Ostrobothnia. And we are also so happy to cooperate with Gozo Action Group Foundation in the island of Gozo, Malta, and with the Inishowen Development Partnership in the area of Donegal, Ireland.
Hi, my name is Salla Kettunen, and I'm working in this project with tourism and traveling connected issues. I'm working for Seinäjoki University of Applied Sciences. At the moment, we are located in Valkealampi. This region is very famous for its outdoor activities. There are good tracks for cross-country skiing in the wintertime, from November until April. There are also good tracks for hiking and cycling in the summertime. Some people also cycle during the wintertime. There is also a very nice lake nearby, but at the moment it is still frozen.
Hello everyone. My name is Jussi Laurila and I live in Western Finland in Lapua with my family. I work for Finnish Forest Center and our organization is participated in this Wellbeing from Nature project as a partner. Now I'm here in Simpsjö in Fitnessters, and there is also skiing center in this place. Simpsjö is the highest point of Lapua, and there you can do many activities like running, skiing, walking, biking, orienteering, and even ski jumping. But now I'm going to go top of this place. See you!
Hello, my name is Arttu Mustajärvi. I'm an RDI specialist working at Seinäjoki University of Applied Sciences in the team of Wellbeing Technology. Wellbeing Tech is my main focus, but IT and tech overall is a very large part of my job. For this project, I'll be assisting with anything related to wellbeing technology. The footage here you see is from a lakeside cabin filmed in May. Finland has over 500,000 cabins, and they serve to bring people a tiny bit closer to nature.
As you have seen in these presentations, the weather and climate can vary quite a lot here in South Ostrobothnia and also in Finland this time of year, being the end of April and the beginning of May. However, we hope to see you here during this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for my team, and thank you. As Tanya said, we all are also looking forward to possibly seeing some of you here in Finland next spring. One of our university's principal areas or areas of focus is wellbeing technology, and I would like to use this opportunity to thank Merja Hoffren-Mikkola, who is our principal lecturer in wellbeing technology, for joining us in this webinar today. But next, we will hear from Yosef Magro. Yosef is from Gozo Action Group Foundation, Malta. The floor is yours, Yosef.
Sorry for that. Hi and welcome to this webinar. I'm Yosef Magro, the manager of the Gozo Action Group Foundation, which is implementing this project Wellbeing from Nature to our partners, the Seinäjoki University of Applied Science from Finland and Inishowen Development Partnership from Ireland. The priority of this project is to promote the leader program for social and economic development through the creation of tourism events, technology, and new economy, food supply chain, and job creation. This will be done through the promotion of joint activities throughout the project. It will look to develop value added for the interested rural areas, but not limited to support for innovation in products and services by the development of a strategy for rural tourism promotion. The foundation felt that the partnership created with our international partners ideal due to the common factor of regionality that they all come from. Therefore, throughout this project, the foundation will seek to promote tourism on a national and transnational level, and through the exchange of skills and transfer of best practices between the partners. The project aims to promote Gozo through a digital marketing campaign by putting focus on the well-being effect that is brought onto the visitor while visiting the rurality of Gozo. The campaign is aimed for both the local and international tourists. The project objectives are to create new ideas on how micro-organizations can develop network models, which can include business models to promote Gozo rurality. This will be done through the utilization of nature areas as well-being destinations to attract tourism. Malta enjoys hot and dry summers, which can be enjoyed through the various beaches scattered around the islands. Tourists are also attracted to Malta since it is part of the EU. It's a couple of hours away from major European cities. Most of the people speak English, and the tourist facilities are geared towards the influx of tourists. The tourists, apart from the sea and sun, can also enjoy the culture and the Mediterranean lifestyle, which make Malta a favorite destination. In summer, the islands are buzzing with activity. There are cultural activities organized by government entities, local councils, and non-government organizations. Each summer, there are the local festas in honor of each patron saint of each village, which are mostly organized by the NGOs. This translates to a good economic turnover to the business and tourist operators during during the summer season. In the shorter period, Malta is also a favorite due to the mild Mediterranean winter that it enjoys, and also due to the various cultural activities organized during this period. When tourists visit Malta, mostly choose to stay on the main island, being that Gozo is an island of Malta, and this can cause double insecurity. Although in summer Gozo is easy to market as a destination, the other months remain a problem. Gozo has more to offer than sea, sun, and beaches. With this project, the foundation wants to increase the awareness of other rural and well-being attractions that can be used to attract tourism in the dormant season, which typically is between September and May. The COVID situation has disrupted the normality of life to which everyone has been accustomed to. All sectors of the society has been affected. The economy of Gozo was geared towards tourism prior to 2020. The effects of the almost non-existent tourist season during last year has cascaded to other sectors of the economy, bringing hardships to the business, agriculture, and NGOs which depend on the tourist industry. This year, the tourism industry has had a timid restart, although the figures are far from those registered pre-COVID. This project was designed back in 2019, and no one has foreseen the effects this pandemic brought throughout the world. Now that the tourism sector has been allowed to start again, this project will be helping the tourism and other sectors while exploring new opportunities for the local stakeholders. The foundation is set up by both public and private members, which are part of the project steering committee. This committee will be inputting their knowledge and abilities in the project. The private members of this project selection committee are the Gozo Business Chamber, the Gozo Tourism Association, the Gozo NGO Association, and the Gozo Confederation of Agriculture and Fisheries. The public members are representatives of the local councils forming part of the Gozo Regional Committee. Each entity will benefit from the increase of tourist influx and the mitigation of the seasonality faced by Gozo. The Gozo NGO Association is an umbrella organization holding several Gozo NGOs. Its aim is to promote and give initiative to local organizations. The Gozo Business Chamber is an NGO with the aim to safeguard and promote the common interests of business entities running on Gozo while addressing issues associated with the regionality and sincerity of Gozo. The Gozo Confederation of Agriculture and Fisheries is the organization standing for and protecting the interests of Gozo agriculture and fisheries sectors. It recognizes farmers and fishermen as entrepreneurs and the protagonists who pursue economic development within the primary sector and the technological and social importance of their enterprises. The Gozo Tourism Association, whose objectives are to unite all persons, companies, partnerships, or associations operating in the tourism industry in Gozo, while promoting Gozo as an all-year-round distinct tourist destination. On the other hand, the local councils, apart from the usual maintenance and embellishment of their locality, they are also responsible to organize local cultural activities, sports, and physical activities, promote local entrepreneurship, protect the nature and urban environments within the locality. The local part of the project will be implemented in 3 phases, which are know-how for developing village-based tourism, product development and marketing channels, and communication and capacity building. In the coming months, more activities will be held both locally and internationally with our partners in form of workshops and one-to-one meetings to launch the digital marketing campaign that will promote Gozo as a rural destination where tourists can enjoy the rurality of Gozo and increase their well-being. For today's webinar, Mr. John Muscat from the Gozo Tourism Association will be sharing with you the effects that go in promoting Gozo as a tourist destination, both as a rural area in itself and through the various events organized by the various local stakeholders. The project is being part-financed through Measure 19, the Lyttle program under the Rural Development Program for Malta 2014-2020, financed by the European Agricultural Fund for Rural Development. Now I leave you in the hands of Carlene Lyttle from Inishowen Development Partnership to brief you about the project in Ireland. Thank you.
Thank you, Yosef. I have probably got the easiest job as I'm doing it in my first language. I'm always so impressed by speakers who speak in a second language. My name is Carlene Lyttle, and I'm the project lead for the Inishowen Development Partnership's Wellbeing from Nature project. I have a video to present to you, but first just to say that from February of this year, we opened the project up to groups and individuals across Inishowen, and we've had consistently a great response from groups throughout the region from very different backgrounds. So we've had individuals, community groups, charities, we've had ecotherapists, we've had scout groups, we've had artists. What we wanted to do was to bring all these people together who are already working in this or have an interest in wellbeing from nature in Inishowen and see how we can work more collaboratively. One of the things that we did do was we asked the people who had expressed an interest in wellbeing from nature in Inishowen to respond to a survey to give us an idea what their values were. We also asked them to capture through video the best parts of our region so we could see through their eyes what pleasure or what well-being they took from the local nature. So I'm pleased to say that the crowd-sourced videos are now the basis of a short video that I have, which I can present on the project. So if you can all now see my screen.
Launched in February of 2021, the Inishowen Development Partnership's Wellbeing from Nature group has brought together individuals, groups, and businesses working in wellness and nature. The potential of Inishowen's incredible natural assets in delivering health and wellbeing benefits is something increasingly appreciated by locals and visitors to the area. The motivation for the group was to show Inishowen as a place where nature can enhance well-being. To start, we asked people about what values they wanted to promote through the Wellbeing from Nature project. The values were inclusivity, protecting, not exploiting natural assets, and supporting people to find out more about how nature can help their well-being. From these responses, we have networked and connected groups with a common interest in well-being from nature. We've provided training to help the protection of nature through a Leave No Trace course. We've increased the availability of well-being in nature activities like painting in fresh air. And we've trained people to help in the communication and promotion of their activities. Our group brought together videos from their favourite nature spots in Inishowen.
Listening to the birds, especially this time of year, is just absolutely beautiful.
I come here most days to swim in the ocean. The cold water immersion is absolutely amazing for your well-being, for your mental health. We also come to practice yoga on the beach. We gather to practice the physical asana, meditation, breath work, and practicing outdoors brings a whole new experience. And I think it really helps people to relax, to switch off, and to connect.
It's a place where I love to come and walk and just to stand by the sea and hear the waves and hear the birds singing. It's just such a special place for me. I remember coming here as a child with family and enjoying days, sunnier days, on the beach. And then as teenagers, it's somewhere that we came and shared secrets around campfires. And now in adulthood, it's somewhere that's really, really important for me, and I think important for well-being.
So hopefully that gave you a flavour of the beautiful spaces that we have here, and why we're so enthusiastic about nature and the well-being we can get from nature here. I have to say a special thank you to the members of the public, the groups and individuals that have contributed to the group here in Inishowen, providing the videos and providing the feedback and support. I can see some of them are joining for the webinar, so they'll be very interested to know that after the introduction of our the projects from the regions, what I'd like to go on to now is to introduce our great keynote speakers that we have. So we're very lucky to have three speakers from the three regions involved in the LEADER project. We're yes, sorry, thank you. Rachel has just put in that we're going to have the keynote speeches one after the other. And if you have any questions, you can add them into the chat and we'll have a question and answer session at the end. So from the three speakers from Gozo, from Seinäjoki, University of Applied Sciences in South Austria, and also from Donegal, we have Joe Muscat from the Gozo Tourism Association, and he is going to present his experience in opportunities in attracting tourism based on green care. So Gozo, for those of you who don't know, is an island in the Republic of Malta in the Mediterranean Sea. It has a population of 32,000 and an area of 67 square meters. So Joe, if you're ready, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you and good morning to all. I'm Joe Muscat from the Gozo Tourism Association, and in these coming minutes, I'm trying to project how Gozo, being an island so reliant on tourism, because 50% of the gross domestic product of the island is being derived from tourism, managed to, from a destination that was basing its tourism on sun, sea and sand. Nowadays, we are promoting, as Yosef said, Gozo as an all-year-round distinct destination. And being an all-year-round, you cannot project your destination only on summer. Therefore, we thought that rurality for Gozo was key, and we took rurality, and which dovetails perfectly with the title of this project, Wellbeing from Nature. And we are managing to promote the destination and attracting tourists from the rurality of Gozo. As I said, since the inception of the association way back in February 1999, we started promoting the destination for all year round because of our natural characteristics, the fact that Gozo is lesser built than the mainland. Because of its topography, the island is greenier because it is hilly and thus we have valleys. We have up to now unspoiled countryside. All our villages, 14 villages, are detached from one another. It is also a place which is idyllic, relaxing, and the way of life is laid back. And we have different types of accommodation. Apart from the hotels, we have also a concept like the cabins in Finland. We have what we call them the farmhouses in Gozo, which were derelict buildings, usually in rural areas, that were converted into comfortable, modern type of accommodation, which are very popular nowadays with the visitors to Gozo. So, seasonality, as mentioned earlier in my brief introduction, we tried to mitigate it through the various niches. And we thought about rural, we thought about faith, religion, country walks, our culture, a very rich culture, even though we are a very small island, our gastronomy, which is also unique to a certain extent, though it is based on Mediterranean type of recipes, as well as adventure. So in my presentation, I'm going to give you a quick overview of these 6 pillars. A taste of Gozo at 30 seconds about rural.
The quality and authenticity that Gozoton local produce are the backbone of a unique and special gastronomic offer. A product offering genuine and fresh Gozoton food and wine that tempt you to experience Gozo. Gozo. Any season, every reason.
So, rural. 14 villages, some are small to the extent of having circa 400 inhabitants, to larger ones having over 4,000 people, but all of them are detached from one another, usually between them offering agricultural land and green valleys in between. Unique accommodation in all the rural areas all around Gozo. At the beginning, this unique accommodation in rural areas was based on the west of Gozo and the village of Arp especially and Dasri, but now it is spread all over the island. We have also rugged landscape, breathtaking coastlines. Being an island, we have a very interesting coastline where we have on the north and the northeast a number of beaches, sandy beaches, pebbly beaches, while on the south we have breathtaking cliffs, knife-cut cliffs. We have also agri-estates offering hands-on experiences. And these are few of the characteristics that we believe is explaining the rurality of our little island. Another pillar is faith. Faith, we go through this short clip.
Goes back to our forefathers' way of life, which is a living testimony marked with hardships and struggles for survival. And today, the height of this religious emotion, reached through weaving the past and the present, will entice you to experience Gozo. Gozo, every reason.
So that was the clip about faith and religion. Being ruled by so many different conquerors, on Gozo, we can say that we had various faiths or experiences of faiths. Gigantea temples is a great example of this kind of faith. These are the oldest freestanding temples in the world. They are older than more old than Stonehenge, more or less 7,000 years old. We have also Arabic artifacts found in Gozo that demonstrates the presence of the Muslim religion. And on this small, tiny island, 7 miles by 11 miles, we have 46 churches in Gozo. It shows the strong bond that we have with the Christian faith. Again, the rurality of Gozo, we try to promote it through country walks.
The spread of fields and valleys, the enchanting country roads that wind their way between village and hamlet, lift the spirit and enriches the senses. Charming sights, impossible to resist, that tempt you to experience Gozo. Gozo, any season, every reason.
Walks, Gozo's topography. We mentioned the coastline and the countryside. These are all attributes that offer a number of interesting country trails and walking paths for all types of ramblers. There are short to medium length walking trails, and some of them with spectacular views. Also, some of them offer the passing through several historic sites and places of interest. While experiencing these walks, one can enjoy the flora and the fauna in several Greek areas that we have on our island, as well as several country walks and trails are now available online and also in printed publications.
The sleepy decks and rustic charm of this tiny island comes to life with the sheer volume and the scale of what's on offer in Gozo's cultural calendar, that never fails to impress and inspire you to experience Gozo. Gozo, in season every winter.
So culture. Now, on Gozo, we have a jam-packed calendar of cultural activities. Incredibly, we have an opera season happening in the latter part of October, where at least we have 3 performances of lyric operas staged to high levels. We have a months-long activities related with Christmas, starting from the 6th December till the end of till the 6th of January, with the main feature being the reenactment of Bethlehem, the Bethlehem scene in the village of Weinseelen. Basically, it is a rural area next to the village, which for those 30 days in December is transformed into this reenactment of the nativity scene. Yosef mentioned also the summer festas from end of May till mid-September. Every weekend we have the summer festas. Every village celebrates through its own identity the patron saint of the village. During the Holy Week, we have a lot of pageantry happening and being organized in the major villages of the island. We have numerous exhibitions happening every weekend. Every weekend on Gozo, we have numerous exhibitions being opened in various venues across the island. From time to time, we have themed festivals like the Ceramic Festival, the Folk Festivals. We have a lot of festivals happening on Gozo. And Gozo is also known for its carnival festivities. They are unique here on the island, especially a spontaneous carnival. And these are all attributes, and they are all basically featuring the cultural heritage of Gozo. It is worth it to add that a lot of these activities are being promoted and established by the numerous volunteer organizations that we have on our little island. Gastronomy.
The warm, fresh-baked crusty bread, the mouth-watering fresh baina bristled with pure bees honey will tingle your appetite to experience Gozo. Any season, every week.
Gastronomy. As I mentioned earlier, we have a unique cuisine based on a Mediterranean diet, and we use a lot of local produce in our dishes. Typical products like the Gozo cheeselets, sun-dried tomatoes, sweet tomato paste, olives, and obviously olive oil. We have typical menus, including the widow soup, the Gozitin fish soup, fried rabbit in wine and garlic, and a range of pies, as well as local wines and liquors. Apart from that, various estates, as mentioned earlier, are promoting the Gozitin gastronomy. There are organized tours on these estates Some of them are also offering tasting of food, wine tasting and wine pairing. There are also additional attractions on several of these estates featuring fruit picking and animal husbandry. Some of them are also doing cooking sessions in our accommodation, in our farmhouses by dedicated chefs. This will add to the experience of the guest purchasing the ingredients from the open market here in Victoria or in the village, and also offering the opportunity to the guests to participate in the preparation and the cooking of the particular dishes. This kind of niche market is fast establishing itself as a unique seller for Gozo. The last clip.
Take in the stunning views of cliffs, valleys, and unspoiled beaches by climbing, cycling, diving, or kayaking around the island. Or simply absorb nature by trekking the unique countryside, all promise a different and authentic view of Gozo. Gozo, every season, every winter.
Adventure, mentioned in the clip, diving. Diving is very important for the island. 20% of our foreign tourists that come to Gozo practice diving. Abseiling and climbing are two adventure sports that are picking up here on Gozo, as much as kayaking and canoeing are. Obviously, there is the off-road tracks being performed by a lot of different vehicles. It could be quad bikes, it could be safari, jeep tours, and also horse riding. Here on Gozo, we have at least 3 schools that offer horse riding, which is also a unique experience. By the way, these clips, these 6 clips are the main promoters that we are using in our advertising of the niche markets for Gozo. Now, a quick view of the statistics for Gozo in order to get you more in the picture. We have the comparatives of 2019 with an extraordinary year 2020 when COVID started. In 2019, as you can see, the Maltese Islands managed to attract 2.7 million tourists. In 2020, we had a drop of 76% by getting 650,000 only. Now, foreign tourists to Gozo, in 2019, we had 180,000. We had a similar drop from the mainland, attracting nearly 40,000 during the pandemic year. Then on Gozo, we have another type of tourists that visit Gozo for the day. In normal circumstances, 2019, we had 1.3 million. Last year, we had a drop of 77%. Basically, we managed to attract 307,000%. We have also cruise passengers. In 2019, we had 8,160. 2020, no cruise passengers. That's 100% drop. Trip decision and booking, 26% were package. Non-package was nearly 68%. A combination of both, 6%. I mean, these percentages, when you look at them, like 10 years ago, they were basically the other way around. It was 60% package and 26% non-package. How these were booked? 24% were booked by the tour operator, 53% were booked direct, and 34% were booked through the internet-based operators or booking platforms. The activities that the tourists that we get on Gozo engage themselves in. Visit to historical buildings, 70%, visit to churches, visit to archaeological sites, visit to museums, local festivals, visit to arts and crafts sites, visit to local produce sites, 15%, religious feasts, nearly 10%. Obviously, we are an island, swimming is predominant, 75%. Trekking and hiking, it's a high percentage, 47%. Another line related with sea is leisure boat trips, 34%. Scuba diving, 20%. Cycling still 5%, rock climbing 4%. Obviously recreational, you have the restaurant 78%, shopping 38%, and spa and wellness 13%. Notice the headers as well as the percentages gained. Bit by bit, we are changing from the sea and introducing these rural activities and wellness activities. Where did they stay, the foreign visitors? 15% in 5-star hotels and boutiques, 23% in 4-star, 3% in 4% in 3-star hotels. Guest houses, 7%. Then we have the self-catering apartments, 23%. Farmhouses and villas, 14%. We have the host families, 2%. And staying with friends and relatives, nearly 10%. They have their own residences, 1.8%, others 0.3%. Main motivation, science and leisure still topping the list with 77%. History and culture, 47%. Scuba diving, 16.5%. F&R for 13%. Other sports, 10%. And special occasions, 7%. Special occasions can be weddings, for example. And from Ireland, we managed to get like 75 weddings every year. That's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yosef. We really appreciate getting a view of Gozo and what sort of themes that you're involved in. I think it's quite unfair, though, to show such delicious pictures of the gastronomy in Gozo when it's so the webinar is right in the middle of finished lunchtime. But I think we'll be very interested to see. I understand that you have to leave. You're not able to stay for our question and answers session.
Yes, I have another meeting, so I have to leave. So if you have any questions, I have a few minutes left and I can try to be brief as possible and answer them. Hello.
I was really interested because although obviously Gozo is very different in size from Inishowen, and also the weather is quite different, but a lot of the themes that you choose to promote are things that we have here that could be used. So the rural aspects, the faith aspects, we have strong early Christianity artifacts here in Inishowen, and the walking. I was wondering, are there any areas that you're seeing a real growth in the last few years, excluding the disruption with COVID, but are there any of those themes which are growing faster than the others?
Yes, COVID taught us a lesson whereby we are experiencing what we are calling them digital nomads. Gozo dovetails perfectly in this kind of category, and we are experiencing already these kind of tourists, because they come over to stay for longer stays, between 30 days to 60 days. And the first digital nomads that we experienced were the domestic ones, because during the lockdown of COVID, we had quite a substantial number of Maltese who have their second home here on Gozo, and they crossed over to the island to be more secluded and started carrying on their work from home here on Gozo. But then it started spreading to outside Malta, and today we can say that we are establishing ourselves as a destination that it does fit for the digital nomads, and we tick a lot of boxes. We as an association, we are in discussion with government in order to incentivize more this fast-growing niche market, which for Gozo is very good, because we have the perfect product, we have the perfect accommodation for them. The island is very quiet, we have very good connectivity, especially with the introduction of the second fiber optic cable between Malta and Gozo. And our people literally are, they can speak a lot of languages, and I think that Gozo can flourish in this kind of niche market.
And that, I guess the digital nomads are the type of people who are looking for more of a balance in their life. So they're looking to, have more well-being, get out of cities.
Definitely. With regards to well-being, I have to add that well-being now, it's not only being practiced and offered in our major hotels, but we have establishments that are offering specific, and they are specifically set up to offer well-being holidays. We refer to them as retreat and detox centers, and in Gozo, we have one that specializes in this kind of activity, and it is very good, and it is attracting a number of visitors from UK. It is based in the quaint village of Arp, and it's perfect for this kind of wellness activity.
Great, thank you. I do have one question that came in. It's from Pia Alanko, who asked, is the water clear for scuba divers? And is there much to see under the water?
Pardon?
If the water is clear for scuba diving?
Of course, our seas are 99% clear, especially when during the first years of our EU accession, we had the wastewater treatment installed, and so our sewage is being literally purified before going into our seas. And that fact brought us an enemy, because the jellyfish, before the waste, was creating a film which was making our waters quite, the temperature rises quite warm. But now, once it is being cleaned and just purified, the sea temperature went down a bit, and that temperature helped the jellyfish to come, especially not the season, but the season before. But it's perfect clarity for our diving. It's even snorkeling. You can practice snorkeling, but the clarity down there, it's perfect.
So the jellyfish have been attracted more to Gozo?
Yes, once we managed to lower the sea temperature by some degrees because of the purifying of our sewage, they managed to get in, yes.
Oh, but I think that probably after your presentation, you'll be seeing many more visitors, not just jellyfish, but definitely we'll have...
Carlene, sorry, Carlene, there's just one other question in the chat.
Thank you, Rachel.
About asking if there are any forests in Gozo.
No, we do not have any forests in Gozo. We have countryside. We have some plantations of olive trees, of citrus trees, but no forests whatsoever. A lot of food. And obviously greenery.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You've given us a lot to think about. So from Gozo in Malta, we're going to move to Finland, to Merja Hoffren-Mikkola, who is a principal lecturer from the Seinäjoki University of Applied Sciences. She's going to talk about how technology can be used to measure the positive impacts for individuals' health. So the content of this presentation, I think, will be quite different from that of Joe's from Gozo, as is the Finnish region of South Australia is considerably different from the island of Gozo. You're 14,000 square meters compared to only 67 square meters of Gozo, and your population, I think, is over 180,000 compared to the 32,000 of Gozo and the 40,000 of Inishowen. But I'm sure we'll have a lot to learn from you, Merja. So we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlene. Can you see my presentation and can you hear my voice?
Yes, to both.
Okay, thanks. That's good. So my name is Merja Hoffren-Mikkola. Thank you very much for the invitation for this webinar. As Carlene mentioned, I work as a principal lecturer at Seinäjoki University of Applied Sciences. And my theme that I'm working with is the well-being technologies and health promotion. Well-being technology is one of our profile areas that we want to develop, and we want to study and we want to bring forward. So basically, I'm very much interested on how technologies can help well-being. And my background is in sports science. I have a PhD from biomechanics. So of course, related to nature-induced well-being, I have a lot of interest in how it can promote physical activity. But in addition to that, I have been working with the technologies that can measure the aspects of well-being, and for example, the stress and recovery that are I think the hot topics related to well-being at the moment. So in my presentation, I hope that you will get some insights about how nature can affect well-being from those physiological factors that we can measure. And then I will introduce some technologies that could be used to measure those physiological variables. So if there are, for example, SMEs or some companies that are thinking that could they take some technologies to their services in order to visualize those well-being effects that their customers will get from their services, these might be usable for you, depending on the purpose, of course. So let's start. First, some variety of well-being, because of course it's very wide topic. It's affected by health, of course, and health can be divided into physical, mental and social health that are all linked together. And then addition to that, there's material well-being, and then there's perceived well-being or the quality of life. And actually all of these aspects, they can be, they vary between individuals, that what are their effects on individual well-being. They are also subjective, since even health, if you have some disorder, diagnosed disorder, you can feel healthy. So it doesn't necessarily mean that even if you have some diagnosis, you don't feel healthy and being in good well-being. And then also of course the material well-being and perceived well-being, they are affected by different aspects, or some rely on material well-being more. Even if you are rich, you can feel that you don't have enough material well-being. So that's very wide topic, affected by many aspects. Then when we go to nature and how it affects well-being, we can define the term of nature therapy. In this publication, it was defined that it's the relaxation by exposure to natural stimuli that comes from forests, urban green spaces, plants, and even the natural wooden materials. So even the wooden materials can bring the effects of relaxation that is linked to nature. And in this figure, you can see that how the natural therapy, what is its effect on well-being. Basically, a lot of it is linked to stress and relaxation of it. So in the stressed state, those relaxation effects, restorative effects of nature can be seen in the changes in physiological relaxation and in immune function recovery. And of course, these are individual, depending on the people. it differs from where you get the relaxation effects and how much these can affect your physiological relaxation and immune function recovery. But basically, when there happens these physiological relaxation effects, they can be measured, for example, through indications in brain activity, autonomic nervous system activity, that is the part of the nervous system that we really cannot control voluntarily. And then in endocrine activity or immune activity. And there comes the preventive medical effect that you get from the nature. In this slide, I have listed, based on a Finnish publication, that what could be the effects of nature on physical well-being, mental well-being, and social well-being. In physical well-being, of course, one very interesting and important aspect is that how it can enhance the physical activity. And there comes the effects to the physical well-being. It can improve the cardiovascular fitness. It can improve balance and muscle strength if you think that you are exercising in natural environment. In many cases, they are quite varying. For example, in forest, there are paths, there are a lot of obstacles, and those are very effective in improving a balance and muscle strength. Then also the improved coordination based on these all. But then also, if you don't even exercise in the natural environment, for example, in forest, there are studies that say that you can get effects on, for example, on heart rate and blood pressure and heart rate variability, even if you are sitting, for example, in the natural environment, for example, next to the sea or in forest. So you don't need to even exercise or have some physical activity there in order to get the effects on physical well-being. And the same goes to the mental well-being and social well-being. A lot of the effects are related to stress decrease, and therefore the restoration and recovery that you can get from the natural environments. Of course, the mood is one important aspect, and there are studies that say that the mood is improved more in those natural environments as compared, for example, to the urban environments. Then, of course, the social well-being. There are many kinds of activities that you can perform in natural settings, and there are always possibilities to be alone if that is the best for a person, or you can be there in a company. One aspect is meeting new people in those activities that you can perform there, and belonging to some communities, for example, related to certain areas or some hobbies or activities that you can perform in those natural environments. I took one study in order to show you some aspects that have been found out related to effects of, in this case, walking in a forest environment compared to walking in the city areas. And in this study, they studied women. Most of the studies are done in men, but in these studies, they wanted to investigate the effects of walking in a forest in young women. And there were 6 forests that the participants walked in. And then there were 6 city areas as a control place. And they divided the people so that always around 12 people walked in the forest and thereafter in the city area. So the same people this setting was quite well done, so that the same people walked in the forest and same people walked in the city area, and they studied the effects of physiological well-being and then the mental well-being. They were quite young women, and they walked in the city and in the forest approximately 15 minutes in each. And what they found out was that walking in a forest was associated with significantly higher parasympathetic nervous activity that is part of our autonomic nervous system, and it is the part of the nervous system that calms us down. So if you get higher parasympathetic nervous activity, that is good for your recovery. And in addition, they got the lower sympathetic nervous activity that is related to stress. So basically, walking in the forest recovered better the people and had less stress effects. And also the heart rate was lower, and slower heart rate is related to recovery. In addition to those measurable variables, they investigated the mood as in a questionnaire, and they found that the people reported better mood and less negative feelings when walking in the forest. There are a lot of studies like this, as you might know. So it's really based on those objective parameters as well. The nature is really a therapist, or you can get therapeutic effects there. In this figure, you can basically see what are the parameters that we could measure related to nature-induced well-being. You can, of course, investigate, for example, through questionnaires, the mood. Then you can measure blood pressure. Heart rate is very common in these technologies, and parameters that you can get from heart rate. Of course, physical activity can be measured. Then the effects of nature to sleep and the quality of sleep, and then the stress and recovery. And I will introduce some of the technologies that can give you this kind of variables that can measure these. If we speak about the physical activity parameters that can be measured related to nature, of course, there are duration and there are distance traveled during the activity in nature. There can be steps taken, that is very common, and there are linked and that is linked to the well-being, and there are recommendations based on this. Of course, pace is one, and then the terrain, elevation up and down. This can be measured, and that is also linked to well-being. And then, of course, the heart rate you can measure. Then in stress and recovery parameters, heart rate is there again, a good parameter. And heart rate variability is quite important parameter, and I will explain you that in the next slide. Then you can measure electrodermal activity. That is the electric conductance of the skin that reacts to sweat secretion and is linked to stress reactions. Some of the technologies use that parameter to measure the effects of well-being. And then you can measure blood pressure and then also cortisol hormone, but that is not currently measured through technologies. So basically, this is in studies that have these tools. So that parameter is used there. But as I mentioned, heart rate variability is very important parameter and a lot used parameter in modern well-being technologies. And heart rate variability means the variation in the time interval between consecutive heartbeats in milliseconds. So this is the EKG cardiogram. And our heart doesn't beat so that the time interval between the consecutive heartbeats is always the same. And the more we have variation in the heartbeats and the interval between the consecutive heartbeats, the better it is, because this is linked to the relaxation. And if we have low heart rate variability, that is linked to stress. So basically, this parameter is used a lot in those technologies that try to measure stress and relaxation and visualize that. And there's quite good evidence that links heart rate variability to stress. It's quite well shown in literature that this link exists. And this link was found in athletes between the training state and the heart rate variability. Basically, they found that low heart rate variability was linked to overtraining. And thereafter, this has been studied a lot, and this high heart rate variability is linked, as I mentioned, to physiological well-being and relaxation, and also to decreased morbidity and mortality and better quality of life, good physical activity, and basically it is higher in younger people. And then on the other hand, low heart rate variability is linked to acute stress, and it has been linked in some studies also to work stress. And that's why these technologies are in many cases, they are marketed to the companies and to individuals in order to investigate the work stress. Then if we go to technologies that can be used to measure well-being, there are a lot of technologies like this nowadays. In simplest way, you can use smartphone and mobile apps, and there are a lot of technologies in these alone. And then in these wearable devices, they are most often watches or rings that have those measuring technologies. At some level, there are also smart clothes and some other types of sensors. I will introduce quite fast the technologies because I think I'm a little bit behind schedule, but hopefully we have time to go through these. Actually, many of these are Finnish because Finland has quite a high level of well-being technology companies, and there are a lot of development in this area. So first beat lifestyle assessment is one of the technologies that actually measures with the chest sensor that you wear 3 days. It measures the physical activity, it measures the stress, recovery, and sleep. It is based on the heart rate and heart rate variability measurements, to simplify it. And they have also a mobile app. Basically, what you can get is that during those measuring days, you can visualize the whole day and how these activities during the day affect the stress that is marked in the red color. Then there are physical activity in the blue color, and then the relaxation in green color. And you can also see that how these activities during the day affect your sleep. You can mark to the time scale for example, those nature hiking sessions or some yoga sessions or whatever you do, and you can see their effects to your well-being. Because yeah, and then for example, these trainers, very high activity, physical activity sessions can decrease your sleep quality, and you can try to learn how these different activities affect your sleep. So this technology is used quite a lot, and it's to my opinion, it's quite a good one. These first beat algorithms, they are also inside many smart watches. So if, for example, in these brands, they use the same algorithms, but in the watch. So they measure the heartbeat from the wrist, and you can also get the similar kinds of analysis, not as visual as this is, but in more simplified way. Then one technology to measure physical activity is the Phibion, and that is a sensor that you wear in your pocket or with a tight strap on the side of your tie. And it basically measures the amount of activity that is amount of physical activity, and it gives the amount of sitting and standing that you have during the days, the activity types that you perform, and the energy expenditure. And it compares that to general recommendations. So basically, you can try to improve your physical activity towards the recommendations, and for example, less sitting. And it gives that the easiest ways to achieve those recommendations. Then there are two rings that first of one is this Oura ring, and it measures also the heart rate variability, and it also measures the body temperature. And it gives you the aspects of physical activity and sleep, and the amount and quality of sleep. So you can investigate those, and for example, as similarly to the first beat, you can try to learn that how different activities during the day affect your well-being, your stress recovery, and sleep quality. There's also another type of sleep analysis that is, in that sense, quite good, because nothing is attached to the person, because some people don't like technologies that they have to wear. So this kind of sleep analysis is, you don't even notice it, because it's the sensor that is under the mattress, and it can measure the quality of sleep, and it gives the sleep stages. So it also measures heart rate variability, and you can investigate those. Then another ring that is on the market is the Mood Metric Smart Ring. And this one doesn't measure heart rate or heart rate variability, but it measures the electrodermal activity, and basically that is linked to stress reactions. Basically, it measures the sympathetic nervous system activity that goes on with the excitement or stress or tuning. So you can, and it's quite visual. You can see the continuously. It's the continuous measurement that you can investigate at the same time that you wear the ring, and you can try to calm you down and see from the scores if you can do it or not. Okay, then we are almost at the end. So there are a lot of technologies currently that can measure well-being, and these could be used in, for example, to see the effects of nature on your well-being. There are a few factors that should be considered. First one is that who owns the technology and who owns the data, because currently it's in most cases the customers measure these parameters with their own devices, own technologies, and therefore they own the data, and the data goes to their personal accounts, and they can share it, but that's not always very easy. So I think we will go, or probably, for example, related to nature services, it could go to that direction, that the service provider owns the technologies and offers that measurement possibility to the customers. But then we need to think that we need permissions to use the data. And then another factor is that it is very well known that the measurement data itself is not a value. For example, it doesn't relate to positive lifestyle changes without some reflection. So either the service provider should offer a possibility to reflection, to think that, for example, if you are in a stressed state, what are the factors that have brought you there, and how you can change that. Or another possibility is to concentrate exclusively on the positive education and support, and that is much easier. Yeah, I put one possibility of the one possible way to induce technologies here as well, because I think this is quite easy. For example, we can educate about the effects of nature, for example, through these QR codes, and these could be one of the service that could be usable there during the nature activities. There can be also some measurements there, but for example, route map or some safety instructions, or then the educations about the effects of these kind of activities to the well-being. So I think basically the two ways to use technologies in nature services is to include them as part of the service, so that the customers get more experiences about the effects of this specific service to their well-being. They can measure their well-being factors. It may be a novelty value to use the service. Or another possibility could be that the customers or the service provider could customize the services based on this technology measurement data. They could target the services based on those measurements that their customers have, or those results that their customers have when they are using the services. Thank you very much. Hopefully I wasn't way too long with the presentation.
Thank you so much, Merja. And no, I've been keeping an eye on the chat, and there have been people who have found it fascinating and have said it's excellent information. It's such a contrast to the presentation of Joe from Gozo.
Yes.
But it actually leads quite nicely to the presentation from Christina Greene, who is has had 23 years experience in mental health services, and she'll be able to tell us much more like anecdotal or practice information to support a lot of what you've said in your presentation. So thank you, Merja, and I'll pass over to you, Christina.
Thanks, Carlene. My first goal is to try and share my screen. So I hope that has happened. No, it has paused again. I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to start again. Good morning, everybody. Always delighted to speak at a conference like this about a topic that I'm really excited about. and so lovely to be sharing it with an audience that are equally passionate about the importance of nature and well-being. Can I just check first that I can be heard?
Yes.
That I can be seen?
Yes.
And that my screen can be seen?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Now that the challenge is to move on to the next slide and see if that will work for me. Okay. So great. I think it's working.
That's worked.
So many thanks, Carlene. As Carlene mentioned, I am, I suppose, a mental health professional who has worked in various mental health services for over 23 years. And I suppose in services across the diversity of services that exist. So I've worked in long stay mental health services. I've worked in secure units for people with violent and aggressive histories. I've worked in homeless services. I've worked in children's mental health services. I now work in a very special service called Solace Donegal. I know we have an international audience here, so just to explain, the word solace is directly translated from our Gaelic language to mean light. So when we refer to light in our program in Solace, we talk about the light of nature, I suppose, of the sunshine, because we are an outdoor based service, but also so the light that shines within us, focused on the human experience of using and working in the service challenge. And I know the audience, so it's really going to focus on that human experience. It's going to be reflections from me as a therapist, reflections from me as a manager, and also reflections from people who have used the service. So very quickly now, I suppose, just to explain what type of a service is Solace Donegal. We are a green exercise programme that have been funded by our public health system since 2004. And since 2018, we have a service in Inishowen in partnership with the Inishowen Development Partnership. We have 3 strands to our programme. The main strand is that it is a programme for adults experiencing mild to moderate mental health difficulties. So that is any of us on the webinar today that may experience mental health difficulties in our life, we can access the programme. We have a staff wellbeing programme for healthcare professionals specifically who work within the wider healthcare service, who come as a team to experience a staff wellbeing day. And we are about to open a new service for adults with autism and intellectual disability. Our tagline is very simply walking, talking and listening in the beautiful green spaces of Donegal. And our aim is to facilitate recovery or well-being through the medium of group walks in the natural environment. We have a mindfulness teacher amongst our staff, and we incorporate mindfulness into our time in nature and into our walks. And our referrals into the programme come from multiple sources, including GPs, mental health teams, social prescribers, psychologists, and also self-referrals from people who identify that this may be useful to support their mental health recovery. I don't know how many of everyone in the audience is aware, we have 5 a day for our mental health that is kind of recognised, I suppose, internationally and evidence-based. 5 things every day that each of us has to do to protect and to mind our mental health. Solace is based very specifically on 3 of these 5 a day. The first one being active. We're a green exercise programme. The second one, connection. That's connection with other people, our relationships, connection to ourselves and our understanding about our own strengths and difficulties, and also connection to the world around us and the natural environment. And third, the ability to stop and to take notice. And I think this photograph beautifully illustrates that moment on a walk that was taken very spontaneously. There's a beautiful bird that unfortunately isn't captured in the photograph, but everybody stops to just take notice. So the natural environment facilitates our 5 a day very well. Just in relation to how we do what we do, we have a very specific structure to our programme. Every day we have a group walk, about 8 kilometers in length, sometimes longer, sometimes a small bit shorter. We practice mindfulness during our walk, our group walk. We eat outdoors, and since the pandemic has started, all of our work is exclusively outdoors. So we are eating outdoors and picnicking in all weathers. And we also have a group reflection that takes place after each walk and each lunch, that has a very specific structured format also, and that really values the voice of each participant in the group. Each person has their own plan around their recovery and their therapeutic plan. We have an open day for everybody to come and experience what Solace has to offer if they are curious or interested in attending themselves or interested in referring somebody. And we have a period of time that we encourage everybody to sample the program before they make a commitment to attending, to make sure that it's for them and that they want to make a commitment to be part of the program. The program is time limited, up to 2 years, to facilitate and support recovery. We have a full database of 60 walks across the 2 sites in Donegal, where we're based at the moment. And each walk, I suppose, has a very detailed description. Merja there in her presentation spoke about detailing the details around each walk. So with each walk, we have the distance, the terrain, the ascent that's involved, as well as all the highlights of the flora and fauna that we will experience on that walk, and of course the hazards, because in Ireland, I suppose, we are very high on prioritizing health and safety and any hazards that may be experienced in the work that we do with people. Our walks are highly varied. We have beach walks, hill walks, forest walks, and coastal terrain. And we walk every day. That means we walk in all weathers. All the Irish people on the call today will understand that means literally walking in all seasons each day, and sometimes in each hour we experience all seasons. We literally can go from hailstone to sunshine within a 10-minute period. Is my sound still okay, Carlene? Okay. So also in relation to Solace, it is a non-traditional service when it comes to supporting mental health and very much embedded in recovery principles. Key to this is this concept that we call diminished clinical distance. It is not obvious in Solace who is staff and who is participant, and this photograph, I suppose, highlights that very well. This was a project done a number of years ago with the group building a sofa, an outdoor sofa, on a beach space where we practice mindfulness quite a bit, and it is not possible to tell who is staff and who is participant. We have peer support workers as part of our team. Our team is very diverse, and every decision that's made is co-produced using the expertise of the lived experience of mental health difficulties and using services, as well as the expertise of working in services. I suppose overall, the aim is that the service is hope inspiring. Each walk we do, I suppose, has an end point. And the thing that I hear the most from people is just how glad they've come each day they come, that they feel better after the walk. We're always happy that we've achieved it. And I suppose it gives us an ability to face the elements, which I always fear is an analogy for facing adversity in our life and building resilience. The focus in Solace is very much on a journey of change and personal growth, and each walk, I suppose, is a journey where we focus on supporting personal change and growth for people. When I was asked to do this talk originally, we spoke about the concept of nature as a therapist. And I suppose for me, again, this is very much focused on my reflections in seeing nature as a co-therapist. The thing for me that I noticed for many years, I suppose, of practice in mental health service is that nature is an extremely powerful therapeutic partner. It is the third person or the third aspect of a therapeutic relationship. And I see it as a tripartite relationship. So we have the facilitator, which is me or any of the staff that work in Solace, the person on their recovery journey, and I suppose the therapeutic milieu or context, which is nature. Nature is powerful and supportive through sometimes its silence. It enables more sharing in silence. Sometimes it's warmth, you know, where the heat feels like a blanket around us as we need it. And sometimes it's noise. There's one woman that attends our program, and she particularly loves the days when the wind is at its highest and she feels most alive walking in the wind and walking against that wall of wind. Sometimes the rain, the hailstones, that tactile sensation on our skin of the elements makes nature an extremely therapeutic partner. We have the opportunity to face adversity with support. So I suppose, you know, it draws to mind that idea of walking in heavy rain, heavy wind, hailstone, shoulder to shoulder as we face adversity, and we feel support shoulder to shoulder. It encourages curiosity. Pause every few minutes, I suppose.
It looks like we might have lost Christina because of her connection.
Sorry, did I lose my
Yep.
Did I lose my connection? I'm really sorry. Did I lose it a while ago?
No, we got up to the encouraging reflection.
Okay.
I think the last word you said was pause, and then you left.
Okay. So really sorry about that. Okay. So were we on to this slide?
So your slideshow hasn't resumed.
Okay. Sorry.
Do you want, I can ask Rachel to share the slideshow if you want to continue talking. Oh, here we go. Nature is the co-therapist. This is where we were.
Yeah, it seems to have paused again. So do you know what? Maybe if Rachel, no, maybe if maybe this will work. Okay. I might keep it on the screen if that's okay. So what I was saying there is that it gives us the opportunity to pause, to face adversity with support. So when we are in the elements together, I suppose, we're walking against the wind, the rain, the hailstones, shoulder to shoulder. I suppose we feel supported in facing that challenge. The other thing that nature does is it fully encourages curiosity, which is so key for our mental health. And on our walks, we pause, we look up, and we notice what's happening around us. And a key question that we have every day on our walks is to name something that you noticed on the walk today, and people become more and more attuned to taking notice in a really active way. The other thing is, shoulder to shoulder, people will always say that they find it easier to share their story, to share their experience. And often on the very first walk with somebody, people will often say, I can't believe how much I told you on that first 20 minutes of the walk, because shoulder to shoulder is a much less threatening context to share your story. And also, more than anything, I suppose, the passing of the seasons and the changing of nature and our natural environment around us all the time reminds us that change is constant and inevitable. And even when we feel stuck, we are always moving forward. The next thing to talk about is, I suppose, the staff that work within the service. I'm just going to try and screen share again. The staff that work within the service. My experience is that I have worked in many, many teams over the years, and many that have been unhappy, unhealthy, and have had lots of challenging dynamics. Within Solace, I'm very blessed, I suppose, to work with a team that is highly motivated, a very diverse group of people, but a group of people that are extremely dedicated to the work that we do. And recently we had a staff member that was off sick for a period of time. Everybody else rallied round to compensate for that, worked above their hours, and very happy to do that. This is a photograph of a team meeting that we had recently outdoors. This is our outdoor office. You can see lots of happy faces there. We don't have the issue around recruitment and retention that other services have. Sorry, now my screen is doing its own thing. So this is really testing my stress levels this morning. We have an issue generally in the Northwest of recruitment and retention of motivated staff, but within Solace, this is not an issue. Staff are very happy to work outdoors. We are very interested when anybody gets a new raincoat or new hiking boots. But the challenges of outdoors, definitely the joy of being outdoors outweighs the challenges. A number of the team have taken a pay cut to do the job that they do, and I suppose it proves that the outdoors is good for us all. We have a staff wellbeing program that I mentioned at the beginning, and that program follows the same format as our regular program that we use therapeutically, with the structure of the group walk, the mindfulness, the eating outdoors together, and the reflective session afterwards. I'm just going to share a couple of the quotes that people have shared from the staff wellbeing program. I know there's probably quite a bit of text on the screen, so I'm just going to read them out. So, excellent work. Would recommend this for managers, teams and healthcare organizations. A great day of learning and self-thought. I'm going to try and share my screen again from this slide. I absolutely loved the day. It was relaxing, active, and it gave me an opportunity to think about what I need to do for myself. Life is so busy and stressful that today makes me think about how I need to look after my own mental health and to nurture me as I'm a fixer and always looking after everyone and everything. Carlene, can I just check in that you can see the screen okay?
Yes, we can see the staff wellbeing program.
Okay. So I've just changed screen now, and it's a quote from the Walking for Health program, which is based in the UK, and a study that was done in 2014 around the benefits of this program. And this quote, I think, is very powerful because it says walking is an inexpensive, low risk and accessible form of exercise. It turns out that combined with nature and group settings, it may be a powerful, underutilized stress buster. Our findings suggest that something as simple as joining an outdoor walking group may not only improve someone's daily positive emotions, but may contribute a non-pharmacological approach to serious conditions like depression. And I suppose it recognizes the value of green exercise as a first-line treatment for mental health difficulties, as opposed to having to start with pharmacological treatment. So what worked well from my perspective in terms of outdoor-based practice is that the service uses Donegal's natural environment as a key resource. It is cost-effective in that we are outdoors most of the time. It is a non-threatening therapeutic environment for people to be able to share. It is universal, and that's obvious through the benefits that are for participants, and I'll share some quotes at the end of participants who attend the programme, as well as the team who work in the service, and also the staff wellbeing programme, the staff that have attended that programme. It is cross-divisional. So in Ireland, sometimes we are very caught in working in either mental health or disabilities or older person services, but this type of work is cross-divisional and crosses all boundaries. It provides opportunities for leadership for the people that have come through the service. Many of them have the opportunity to work on an employment scheme within Solace Donegal, and many have gone on to work in wider health and wellbeing areas. It provides opportunity for challenge within a safe, supportive space, which is what we all need as human beings, particularly around mental health recovery. And it offers an environment that's non-stigmatizing and non-clinical, which is quite different to traditional mental health services. I'm just going to share some quotes now from some participants that have attended the service. So again, if you just want to listen to me sharing them rather than try to read the text on the screen. The joy of Solace is that there's such a diverse group of people you would never meet otherwise, and everyone has a story to tell. It's a place to be real. Solace allows you to be yourself. It's non-clinical. You come here to talk. There's a communal understanding walking in a group more so than in a therapy session. Somebody else said you can speak freely to someone who understands because they've been there. As you walk, you're not asking them to solve your problems. It's the listening and knowing that they understand. In terms of interaction, it makes you more fully human in a beautiful place. It's all natural. You develop friendships with communal respect. It's meant so much to me. It's different every time you walk. You don't realize how far you walk, and to be in nature like that with other people is so important. It's about being alive. And then it helped me to get out of my comfort zone. I could never speak to my family. It's easy to talk in solace. Making eye contact is so hard for me, but when you're walking, you don't have to look into someone's eyes like a counselor. Being with all strangers makes it easier, and everyone blends together. Now that has taken me to the end of my presentation. I hope that people have heard enough. Apologies about my technological challenges there. I hope that people have heard enough to get a sense of what it's about, and I welcome any questions.
That's great, Christina. Thank you so much. We're lucky we didn't have any of Merja's technology on you while the way your presentation was freezing.
Yes.
You would have been off the scale. Thank you to all of our keynote speakers. We do have a few questions that have come in the chat. Christina, William McElhenney wants to know, does Solace operate in Inishowen?
Yes, we operate in Inishowen since 2018. And we have a wonderful team down there. There's some members of the team actually on the webinar today. I can see Michaela's name there on the screen. She works in Inishowen. Anybody can get in touch with us if they look at the website, solacedonnegal.org, and get in touch with us directly to inquire about how you register for a place on the programme.
That's great, thank you. And talking of Michaela, Michaela is one of the key members of the Wellbeing and Nature group in Inishowen, and she had a question for Merja.
Yes.
So Michaela would, like Christina, have many years experience in mental health therapy and using nature as a therapy, and she was really interested in your technology, but wanted to know if there are any instances of the technology actually interfering with people's positive effects of the natural environment, whether there are in any of your studies any incidents of people getting distracted or it actually being detrimental to their well-being by having the technology?
Yeah, I already answered Michaela a bit, but that is very, very good question, and that can be the case. It's very, very individual how people react to these technologies. Some are bothered, some stress about them, and then it doesn't make much sense. But you can learn not to stress if you wear them for a longer time. But even some people, even in the beginning, they don't even notice them. So it's very, very individual.
And for the technologies that you presented, how many of them are on the market available?
They are all on market available.
And not just in Finland, across Europe?
I think so. I'm not exactly sure. We have them here, but I think that they are also, I know that at least some of them, they sell abroad. Why not all of them?
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting because I know that we will be visiting Seinajoki in February. We would really appreciate the opportunity to see some of that technology in action.
We have them all.
Fantastic. Yes. So if anybody from Inishowen or indeed from Gozo is interested in any of the technology that was presented in particular, we might be able to bring back some more information from it.
Yes.
In February. And the other question that I have for you, Christina, is in your 23 years experience, has there been anybody who has not reacted well to using nature as a therapist?
No, I'm yet to discover that, Carlene. Most of my experience to date has been in traditional, more indoor-based services, and I've worked in Solace for 4 years now, and I know for me, I will never choose to go back indoors. I will never choose to practice indoors again, and I know that's the same for the team I work with. And I suppose it provides an opportunity to see people really blossom in nature, and it works. So no, I'm yet to discover somebody that it doesn't. People are a bit worried about walking in the rain in Ireland. Most people don't own a good raincoat for some reason, but once people buy the proper rain gear, they can embrace it.
Yeah. And are there any outdoor settings that work better than others? So obviously in Finland, we know that you have a lot of forests, but in South Ostrovia, there's no coast, is that right?
We have lakes, but not coast.
You have lakes, but not coasts. If for both Christina and from Merja, from your experiences, are there any are there areas which work better than others?
I know from the evidence, and Merja will probably add to this, but I know from the evidence, they say the greener the space, the better the outcome. And green spaces, I suppose, encompass all natural environments. For us, it comes down to preference. So we democratically choose each day where the walk is. Well, pre-COVID, we did anyway. And some people prefer the coastal walks, the noise, the white noise, I suppose, that's created by the sea. And other people prefer the forest. So we are lucky enough to have huge variety in our green spaces. But I know the space away from the urban is most effective. Merja probably can add to that a little bit more.
Well, I think it's very, very individual as well, as you mentioned, that for some people forest or works, and for some people it's the coastline, for example. So I think you cannot say that which one is really better.
And for people who aren't as lucky as us to live in such beautiful rural areas, can you find in more urban cities green spaces that will positively impact?
You mean that green spaces inside the cities, or?
Yes.
Yeah, they work also.
And like a public park?
Yeah.
And Christina, is that your?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose the evidence would show that no matter where you live, you can access a green space in your garden, in a park, even having posters in your space and photographs of natural spaces has an impact on us. For us, because we're focused on green exercise and an 8K hike, we require more space. But having said that, during COVID, when we were curtailed on using our transport, we were tied to a town park here in Donegal for quite a while, and we were still able to reap the benefits of a park within an urban setting. We're just very spoilt with the amount and diversity of green spaces that we have here.
Fantastic. We have another question from Liam Burns for Christina. So the benefits that you talked about in the Solace approach for your own healthy team, are they offered or rolled out to other firms and organisations, and are they being promoted to other firms or organisations?
I suppose we are a really tiny team, and the bulk of our work is providing the therapeutic programme, but the staff wellbeing programme is something that we really want to develop. So we have had a number of teams of healthcare workers that have come and experienced staff wellbeing days. We would love to be able to expand that and open that out for staff wellbeing for staff in all organisations, because we know that being in green spaces is universally beneficial to everyone. So that is something that I really want to explore and develop, because yes, Liam, I completely agree that it should be rolled out to other firms and organisations. It's a very simple model, but a very effective model, and the feedback from teams that have attended has been really positive.
So I think we have time for one last question. If anybody has one, they can put it into the chat, or otherwise, I have a question from Merja. Just on your study, was there any aspect of it that surprised you? Was there anything that you were not expecting to find through the study?
Well, we have performed several studies or like development projects with these technologies, and yeah, for example, related to work well-being or those aspects that you can develop and with the information that you can get from the technologies. And I think they add for the discussion, for the general discussion about the well-being, you get some extra data from the technologies, and you can use that data in the discussions that you performed with the customers. I think that is the main finding that we have, and so the technologies most often don't work alone, but they get more. You get more deep with the discussions about the well-being with the data from the technologies.
Yeah, I think, that's, I know that we've had a lot of anecdotal evidence from Christina and Michaela, who work in this type of field, but to have that then supported with actual hard data, can make your case much stronger. So thank you very much. So if there are no further questions, we just want to do one poll at the end just to ask where everybody came from, because at the moment we're trying to guess where you came from just your names. But if you can let us know if you have attended today via from Ireland or Finland, from Malta, or from some other question, that would be great. I just, on behalf of myself and the other project leaders, so Anna Rauha from South Ostrogothia, Yosef Magro from the Gozo Local Action Group. I think we'd like to say Kitos, Grazie, and Gurami Mayoga. And we'd like to thank all of our attendees. I'm just going to share the results of our poll so you can find out where they were from. So can you all see my poll to show the that we had a good turnout from Ireland? Thank you very much. From Finland and Malta, thank you to all of you that came. And for the person who's from outside Ireland, Finland and Malta, we'll just have to guess to see where they came from, but hopefully somewhere as beautiful as our other regions. Thank you very much for your time to all the attendees this morning. And thank you to our keynote speakers, Christina Greene from Solas, Merja Hoffren-Mikkola from the Seinäjoki University of Applied Sciences, and Joe Muscat from the Gozo Tourist Board. From the Inishowen Development Partnership, Andrew Ward did the introduction today, and the project has been supported by Shauna McClelland and Denise McCool since starting in February. And the webinar today, I think you'll agree, was a great technical success for the most part, and that was thanks to Dennis Kelly and Rachel Grant, who have been working hard just to make this go smoothly. So thank you again to everybody. I hope that it's a nice afternoon. We have some time here in Donegal, so hopefully we'll all get out and get a chance to enjoy the some of the afternoon. Thank you again. Bye.
Thank you very much.